decisions are a staple of horror movies. Without these stupid missteps, none of our favourite Fright Fest would have ever existed. Seemingly small acts can snowball into much larger and more dangerous scenarios, eventually resulting in tragedy. In celebration of the classic wish I hadn't done that moment, we've rounded the most shocking outcomes of horror movie decisions, both big and small. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture, here with 8 more worst horror movie decisions with unbelievable consequences. Number 8. Not burning Chucky in Child's Play. Chucky, the murderous doll from the Child's Play franchise, has killed countless people and ruined the lives of countless more. All of that mayhem could have been stopped if Karen Barkley had thrown Chucky on the fire in the very first movie. When Karen discovers the good guy toy she had brought for her son, Andy, is sentient, she lights her fireplace and threatens to burn the doll. However, she hesitates in actually confining him to the flames. This gives the possessed plaything a chance to attack his captor and escape. He then runs rampant throughout the rest of the film and the franchise as a whole. Now, it's understandable why Karen was hesitant in roasting Chucky over an open fire. Realizing that you've accidentally given a haunted doll to your son would be enough to knock most people back, but surely she should have known that she would never get a chance like this again. Had Chucky ended up barbecued, then all of his future evils would never have happened. Imagine how much better the world would be if Child's Play 3 had never been made. Number 7. Going back for the dog in Dawn of the Dead. Set in a shopping mall overrun by the undead, the 2004 Dawn of the Dead remake tracks a group of survivors as they attempt to fend off the zombie hordes. One survivor is Andy, a gun store owner trapped in his own shop. A larger group attempts to send him a food parcel with a little help from a trusty canine called Chips. As the zombies have no interest in dog flesh, the group strap food to Chips' back and send him to Andy's store. However, their plan backfires and Andy gets bitten. Now, at this point, the other group could have just walked away from this situation and gone, okay, we messed up, we'll learn for the next time. Unfortunately, one member, Nicole, loves Chips too damn much. She decides to go back for him, crashing a delivery truck into the shop. Her group go to rescue her, which initiates a domino effect that ends with the mall becoming overrun and the remaining group members having to flee their sanctuary. A lot of the group die as a result of Nicole's actions, but does she perish? Of course not, because she helped a dog, and that must have triggered some sort of divine intervention. Number 6. Letting the homeless man in The Purge. The first movie in the Purge franchise centers around a family trying to stay safe in their home during the annual night of mass terror. In a period where all crime is legal, the Sandin family's best bet of survival is to remain inside their reinforced home. This plan is going really well until son Charlie spots a wounded man via the security cameras. Overcome with morality, Charlie opens the gates to let the man inside. In doing so, he sets off a catastrophic chain of events. The man is being pursued by a group of masked, gun-toting psychos. These sinister sorts follow him to the Sandin residence and demand he's turned over to them. Once again, succumbing to those pesky morals, the family tell them no, which leads to an all-out assault on the property. In the ensuing chaos, Charlie's father and his sister's boyfriend are killed. This then leads to the Sandins' neighbours getting involved, who are all jealous of the family's wealth and thus try to kill them. Whilst the stranger does end up saving the rest of the family from their bloodthirsty neighbours, this wouldn't have been necessary if Charlie had just done the decent thing and left him to die. Number 5. Watching the tape in Ring. We've all received a spam email in our time, whether it's telling us we've won the lottery or claiming that we're actually related to some far-flung royal family. These sorts of messages are commonplace and are rightfully ignored by most who receive them. The horror movie equivalent of these emails is the tape from The Ring, or just Ring to give it its proper Japanese title. The film hinges on a cursed videotape which comes with a warning that it will kill anybody who watches it. Regardless of this advice, many people do watch the tape, which summons a vengeful ghost hell-bent on that person's demise. Obviously, these people should not have watched the tape. It is made very clear that anybody who consumes the footage will be brutally murdered within 7 days. So why would anyone actually watch it? Well, think back to those emails. In amongst the regular spam, there's often a mildly threatening email claiming to have your bank details or to have installed a virus on your PC. Again, rightfully so, most people ignore these emails. So you can't really blame the Ring's victims for not heeding the tape's warning. That doesn't make their fates any less gruesome, though. Number 4. Beau's toy in A Quiet Place. Nobody can say that 2018's A Quiet Place holds back, because it kills off a 4-year-old child within the first 10 minutes. Revolving around the Abbott family and their survival in a post-apocalyptic world, A Quiet Place is famous for its villainous blind aliens who rely solely on sound to hunt. To evade their intergalactic foes, Lee and Evelyn have to keep their 3 young children quiet at all costs. Getting kids to shut up is hard at the best of times, but their task becomes even harder when their son Bo finds a toy space shuttle. His parents tell him that the toy will make too much noise and tell him to leave it behind. However, Bo's sister manages to sneak the toy out, removing the batteries before giving it to Bo. Unbeknownst to the family, Bo also takes the batteries, which seals his fate. Bo activates the toy, and its sound effects attracts a nearby creature. The alien then kills the young boy, triggering the events of the film. This apparent act of kindness from Bo's sister actually costs her brother his life. The moral of the story? Never be nice to anyone. Number 3. The Cave Trip in The Descent. British-made horror The Descent is about a group of adrenaline junkies who get lost on a caving expedition. The trip starts well enough until the friends become trapped in the underground network and discover that it's home to a race of dangerous creatures. The one responsible for all this is Juno, a member of the group and all-around awful human being. Not only does she not reach out for her friend Sarah after her husband and daughter die earlier in the film, but she also lies to the group about which caves she has taken them to. Instead of being a well-known area like Juno said, they are actually stuck in an unmapped series of caves with no hope of rescue. That means that everything that follows is entirely Juno's fault. The death of all her friends, the trauma inflicted on Sarah, and even Juno's own demise are all on her hands. Even if the tunnels weren't infested with horrifying creatures, Juno still would have landed her friends in huge trouble. Exploring an unmarked series of caves, do you have any idea how dangerous that is? Next time, Juno, maybe suggest something a bit less hazardous, like knitting? Number 2. Parking so far away in ATM. ATM is a not-so-good horror movie with a decent premise. 3 friends are trapped in an ATM booth by a mysterious hooded figure. When it becomes clear that this man is a psychopath who wants to kill them, the trio have to figure out how to escape the booth and evade their would-be murderer. This claustrophobic standoff could have easily been avoided though, had the protagonist just thought a little bit more about where they parked their car. One of the group's goals is to retrieve a cell phone which was left inside their car before they entered the booth. Sounds easy enough until you realise that they left said vehicle all the way at the back of the parking lot. Why the gang didn't just park closer to the cash machines is a mystery. It's not like there weren't any free spaces, the car park was literally empty. If they'd just put a little more thought into it, then they maybe could have reached the car more easily, called the cops and escaped the mystery killer. Then again, there wouldn't be a movie if this did happen, although going by some of its critical scores, maybe that's not such a bad thing. Number 1. Saving the monkeys in 28 Days Later. Have you ever tried to do something nice for somebody and accidentally just made the situation 10 times worse? Well, that's exactly what a group of environmental activists did in Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later. Only they made things about 1,000,000 times worse. The rage virus, which ravages Great Britain, is first present not in humans but in chimpanzees. The infected primates were being held at a research facility until an animal rights group arrived to free them. Ignoring the advice of a lab assistant, the animal lovers free the chimps with disastrous results. One of them attacks and bites its rescuer, transferring the virus into a human for the very first time. Rage quickly spreads across the country, turning people into violent zombie-like beasts. Whilst the protesters meant well, they probably should have listened to the man in the lab coat. He warned them that the animals were infected and spelled out very clearly what would happen if they were let loose. Sadly, those damned morals got in the way once again, and the chimps and Rage were set free. When will people learn to stop being so nice?